Welcome in, Tamers. Today, once again, we're back doing more deck profiles. This time, we've had a change of map. We're using the lovely double tap map, doubletap.gg. Give Saf a little bell on the Instagram. Still waiting on him to get that website, so go make sure he gets that. With the art from King Kai, of course. But we're doing Sakuya, a nice little deck that's been running the meta a little bit. Not too much, but it's definitely been a lot over in like the East. We haven't been seeing it too much over here in the West, but also we haven't really had too many events in the West, so that might be why. But let's get into it today. Sakuya has changed a lot over the years. However, the EX2 egg has not changed. The Viximon, of course, when you use an option card with a cost of 2 or more, draw 1 card. Can't really fault Vixie. I didn't order these 3s. 2 seconds. Okay, we're back with the 3s in order this time. So, we're going to kick it off with EX2 Renamon, again, something that hasn't changed too much since the pretty early release of like mainstream Sakuya in EX2. But this is of course the on-play, reveal top 4, add 1 card with Kyubi, Tao or Sakuya in its name, and 1 Rika, and then place the rest at the bottom. This one as well has the inherit of when you use an option card with 2 or more, gain 1 memory. Very nice, very versatile as well, and just an all-round good card in my opinion, especially seeing as Sakuya wants to use a lot of options, and we'll get into them towards the end of the profile as you'll probably imagine. But then, comparing that, not even comparing, with the addition of Renamon X Antibody here as well, and the on-play when digivolving of return 1 option card with the plugin in its name from your trash to your hand, actually just insane. You're cycling those options a little bit more, and it's just it's a lot faster and a lot more versatile than it once was. Combine that with the when you use an option with 2 or more, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 2k, you're having some really early advantage very quick with Renamon. Renamon is able to be played off of Scramble as well because it is under 3000, or Scramble 2000. We'll check that a bit later, but yeah. However, on the new side of things, we do have 4 BT19 Renamon. This Renamon, of course, is the on-play reveal top 3, add 1 Digimon with Kyubi, Tao, Sakuya in its name, and 1 Rika or 1 option card with a cost of 2 or more among them from your to your hand. Sorry. This has the inherit of when you use an option card with 2 or more, one of your opponent's Digimon gains security attack minus 1 for the turn. You're kind of slowing down the game in that sense. But let's be honest, a lot of decks in current meta and just Digimon at the moment in general have a lot of unaffected by opponents' effects. Magnamon, for example, I know we're not seeing too much. Royal Knights doesn't care because its bodies disappear. Justimon, just as an example, if they go into Justimon or swing with Justy X and use it when digivolving, just becomes immune. So, a little bit rough on that front, and not as much utility in my opinion. I still prefer the EX2 in this sense, especially to be in sources, because you're going to be able to gain 1 memory basically every turn. But let's be honest, with current Sakuya, all you need is 1 turn in order to just win the game more often than not. That's definitely a lie, and I'm going to get berated for that, so let's not go with it. However, the level 4s, this is where things are starting to take a little bit turn from what I've seen in the East, and it's most of the Unka guys that like I've seen the profiles from, and they've come 3rd. One of the guys came 3rd in Worlds, I believe it was, and he was running 2 Starmon. Now, I didn't really put too much thought into this, but it does just make sense because it's an on-play when digivolving. One of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3k for the turn. Okay, cool. We're kind of stacking minus DPs once again. Very nice. Where is it? Off of the X Antibody. Not too much too early, but I think the main thing that it's run for is the inherent barrier, because it allows you to be able to swing into security a little bit more, allows Sakuya to become a little bit more versatile, and it is kind of pseudo-jamming. Again, I might get berated for that in the comments, but in this case, the way that Sakuya is using it is kind of almost like that. Especially seeing as there's a couple of Sakuyas. Well, no, there isn't actually. It's only the maid modes that add to security. But at the end of the day, having that barrier, having that protection, especially against battle, it's just pure battle protection, right? it's really nice for Sakuyamon to have that. The other level 4s we're running are one of the BT10 QB, no inherit, but this is the one that allows you to return one option with plugin in its name from your trash to your hand, or trash one option with plugin in its name to draw two. It's a nice cycler, and I do like the reoccurrence of the plugin. I've used it a couple of times. I have also used it a couple of times in order to trash one to draw two to get that hand advantage to hopefully find that key piece that I'm missing. The only reason that I'm not too happy with it is because there's no inherit, and again, Digimon kind of just revolves around inherits these days. But as a one-of, it's not bad at all. We'll round off the 4s with BT19 QB, 4 of these. When digivolving, if you have one or fewer tamers, you may play one Rika from your hand without paying the cost. Just generic these days, if you have one or less. And on top of that, the inherit is, of course, when you use an option with 2 or more. One of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 2,000 for the turn. So again, stacking those minus DPs. It's very nice indeed. Onto the 5s, our ultimates. We have 4 BT17 Taumons. I think this is just the standard now. There's no reason to not run anything other than these 4 Taumons. Has native barrier. When digivolving, you may use one option card that has plug in its name or is yellow, so pure yellow, from your hand with the cost reduced by 2. You're using an evolution plugin for 0. You're using Scramble for 0, you're using Training for 0, you're using basically any option that allows you to climb further for 0, and they reduce the cost more often than not to 0, right? The inherit is the exact same as this when digivolving, except it's a when attacking. It's just insane that we're at the point now where Sakura is able to turbo very fast because of this Taumon and these options that we will visit in a second. But to complete the 5s, we've got to run the one of Taumon Ace. You could argue that you want to run 4 Taumon Aces instead, because it's a cheap play cost, so if you're getting stuck you can just play it. But in my opinion, you don't really need to. You're sacrificing too much more at that point, and you might as well start just playing searches and stuff like that. We all know what this does. This was part of the Tau Loop saga. It has the on-play of, if it's your turn, you may play one single colour option with a cost 5 or fewer from your hand without paying the cost. If it's your opponent's turn, give one of their Digimon security attack -1, and you can't activate when digivolving effects. It's a great defensive option, but again, unfortunately, that second part there, when it's your opponent's turn for the defensive play, it's a little bit lackluster because a lot of people aren't going to just leave a level 4 on board these days. You're either going to get bounced, you're going to get de-digivolved, you're going to be deleted in some way, shape or form, so it's a little bit lackluster for me. But it's great nonetheless, for it to just be another Tau that lets you even possibly use a more expensive option to climb, but there isn't a more expensive option that lets you climb. I did forget to mention that of course the inherit is when attacking one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 4,000 for the turn. So not option gated there, and it is just a straight minus 4,000 DP. But to me, we are running a bit short there on what I would hope for a Taumon Ace in pure Sakura. We are moving on to the 6s. We have 2 BT17 Sakuyamon, again native barrier. You can go over a maid mode as well, so not that bad. When digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6k, then from your hand, without paying the cost, you may use one 5 cost or lower option card that has plug in its name or is yellow. So again, we're locking ourselves down to yellow options or plugins, but that's not bad. Sakura has a lot of stuff that it can use, a lot of utility it can use. And the second effect is your turn when you use an option card with a cost of 2 or less, 2 or more, sorry, not 2 or less, 2 or more. Until the end of your opponent's turn, their effects can't return this Digimon to hand or deck. Now, we are pairing that with the Sakuyamon from BT19, which again can go over a main mode, but this one instead is when digivolving draw 2. You may then use one option card with a cost of 5 or less from your hand, one single colour option card with 5 or less from your hand without paying the cost. Not only that, but your turn, when you use option cards that have 2 or more, you can play a Pipe Fox token, which has a blocker and is 6k and is yellow. I might have said 5 or less again earlier. And I would be correct, because this is apparently the one Sakuyamon that cares about 5 or less. So I'm only running one of those because for some reason I only had one of those, but we're going to rock with it. And instead we're going to run the LM Sakuyamon maid mode. This is of course the ace as well. So it costs 1 over Sakuyamon, which unfortunately does kind of counteract what I'm about to show you here as well. But Blast Digivolve, we know what that does. On play when Digivolving, you may place 1 yellow Tamer card or 1 single colour use cost option that has 5 or less use cost from your hand to the top of your security. All turns, when an option card is used or security stack are added to one of your opponent's Digimon, it gets minus 6,000. So if you've just minus 6,000 off of Sakuyamon here, then you go straight into maid mode for a cost of 1. You're minusing 12,000, and a lot of that will kill off a lot of stacks as long as they can be hit by things. Not only that, you're also setting up your security for if your opponent's swinging, so you can get your Rika down, you can get another option play. It's kind of insane the utility that we have here. And the reason I say that unfortunately doesn't work with what I'm about to show is because it's Sakuyamon X Antibody. Maid mode has to burst over Sakuyamon specifically, or at level 5 of course. So we kind of lose that little bit of synergy there. I think the old maid mode... Does the old maid mode care about... No, because it has the little bubble, doesn't it? Yeah. The old maid mode can go over any level 6, basically. But this Sakuyamon X Antibody can evolve over any Sakuyamon without X Antibody in traits. When Digivolving, if Sakuyamon or X entries in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, play 1 Uka no Mitama token, which has 9000 DP, Rush, is yellow, and is a Digimon. No level though. Note that these tokens have no level. Very, very useful for some things. However, when one of your Digimon attacks, you may use 1 single colour option card with a use cost of 5 or less from your hand without paying the cost. If this effect used, one of your Digimon may unsuspend. You can kind of just swing with a token, get that unsuspend on maybe the token or something else, like on Sakuya X if you've already attacked, for example. And it kind of just gives you that additional swing again. So it's not that bad at all. It gives you a free body as well, a free rush body. Rolls for cheap, and it's really, really useful. Being able to use options is just glorious. Now the reason that we say using options is just glorious because we are heavy on the 7s as well, which is kind of insane. We're running 2 Shine Greymon burst modes, which is a 5 cost over a yellow, or purple I guess, but we've got no purples here, so it is just yellows. We all know what Shine Greymon Ruin mode does here. Or when Digivolving, all of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 5k until the end of their turn. End of attack, which we kind of are using this for. Delete this Digimon on one of your opponent's Digimon and recover 1. Then if you have a Tamer, hatch in your breeding area. But of course, the on deletion is the same as the when Digivolving of give your opponent's board minus 5k until the end of their turn. So effectively you are giving your opponent minus 10,000 until the end of turn. We're running 2 of those, but then we are also running the new Chaosmon Volderon. We're running 2 of those as well. This card is pretty cool. It's security attack plus 1 native, and also partition on yellow and black or green. When Digivolving, for each of this Digimon's level 6 Digivolution cards, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers and gain 1 memory. Then none of their Digimon or Tamers can activate on-play effects or unsuspend until the end of their turn. Ooh, this card was mostly used to shut down a lot of like purple hybrid. I guess it's still not really bad for, say, Royal Knights, for example, because you're turning off on plays and they can't unsuspend. So that stops a lot of things from happening. So although we don't have a floodgate in the yellow base here where it's like, cool, your opponent can't reduce play costs. This, I get that it's the other side of this scale and it's a level 7, but this kind of does the same thing for the turn. Problem is it's only for the turn. So it's not too great. But the way that Sakura is able to scale very quickly, more often than not, you're probably able to hit the Volderon by turn 2, turn 3, maybe? Well, turn 2 is a bit of a push, but turn 3 especially. Now, we are only running 4 Rikas here, but they are all the same. They are the BT19 Rika. On play, reveal top 3 cards from the top of your deck. Add 1 card with Rena, QB, Tau, or Sakuya. in its name and 1 plugin from among them. Return the rest to the bottom. Your turn, however, when you use an option card that has a cost of 2 or more, by suspending the same gain of memory. So she just refunds memory. Unless you're, say, evolving into a Sakuya, and evolving into using Talmon's effect or whatever. You're basically gaining memory for just playing your game here, which is a bit insane. So those are our Rikas. Now we're into the meat and potatoes. This is how many options we're running in the deck. We'll have to count them after, but we are running 2 yellow memory boosts. We know what they do. Search top 4, pull a yellow Digimon. We are using 2 Pause plugin. While I have a tamer and may ignore color cost, doesn't matter though. Main, until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6,000, and know when Digivolving effects go off. Security effect, of course, is when your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6,000, then add this card to hand. That's 4 options total. We're then running 4 physical trainings. We know what trainings do these days. Top 2, search top 2, pull a yellow card, and then set in battle next turn. You can Digivolve for 2 less. Forced to Digivolve for 2 less. That's 8 options. We're then running 4 yellow scrambles. We know what scrambles do as well these days. Of course, one of your Digimon reduces for 3 less cost, and then set in battle. Then, of course, during your next start of turn, before you draw, if your opponent has a Digimon delay, return 1 yellow card, 1 yellow Digimon card to the top of your deck from your trash. Then, if you don't have a Digimon, you may play 1 Digimon with 2,000 or less. The security effect as well is you may play 1 yellow Digimon card with 2,000 or less DP from trash without paying the cost, then add this card to hand. So it sets you up no matter what. So that is 12 options, and then let's finish it off with 3 Digivolution plugin S. This of course is a 2-cost green option, but it's a plugin, so of course we're being able to get around it by just having a tamer in play. But you draw 1, then you may Digivolve into a Digimon card in your hand with a Digivolution cost of 3 or less without paying the cost. So this doesn't work going into your level 7s because they cost more than 3. Nor does it work with you being able to go into Sakuyamon X Antibody straight away, but it works with anything else in the deck. It's actually just an insane card. Security effect, of course, is reveal top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 Digimon card among them to your hand, place the remaining cards at the bottom, then add this card to hand. 15 options. A quarter? Is it a quarter? Yeah, but a quarter of your deck is options. All because Sakuyamon needs options. But that's the build. That's the build that's been going around at the moment. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below of what you think of Sakuyamon. It's been a little bit of a time since we've seen pure Sakuya being run, because we've had Kuzuha, of course, and all of that, and we've had Maid Mode kind of running the scene for a little bit during a time. But Sakuyamon and Sakuyamon X Antibody, just be careful not to deck out. Don't do what I did. Well, there was an egg there. Don't do what I did, where I played against the 3 Musketeers, built my stacks completely. My opponent could clearly just delete all of my bodies, and then they never promoted, so none of my scrambles could activate. And me trying to reclaim after I'd drawn a half of my deck just didn't work. So heed this warning. Play careful. But I'm going to get #out. Have yourself a good day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!